My next incident with these 3 girls is the most difficult for me to talk about, but I'm gonna try to do it. So, there was this break between second and third period in my high school, at least, called nutrition, which was a 15-minute break so people could, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, shoot the breeze, talk. Shoot the breeze means talk. That's American speak, I think. I don't know. Some people call it chewing the fat or a chin wag. I think if you're British, they call it a chin wag. But anyway, it's socialize. Socialize. And so that day, I went to the nurse's office to get my medicine, take my medication. Been taking it for, since I was 7 years old. And, I got my snack, a very unhealthy candy bar, and I went into the restroom. And that's where it got hard. This was the most traumatic incident to me. Second to one other thing that happened, but this was the one where I could have died. And this was the scariest incident. Like scary as in afraid for my life scary. Not like scary like, oh, this makes me nervous. But anyway, I went in the bathroom and I did my business. And when I was pulling up my pants again, I heard these 3 girls come in. And I knew it was them because one of them had this really shrieky laugh. And I swear you could hear this from Pluto. It was just... Excuse me. It was just this shrieky loud laugh. Just a cackling. It actually scared me because it was so loud. And, back then I just would have a genuine fear response to painful noises. That's an autism-related thing. I still get that, but now I understand it's just my body reacting. And so, naturally, I kind of froze, and I stayed in there, and I waited, and I waited. I had already flushed the toilet, so, I knew that wouldn't give me away, but I heard them start lighting cigarettes, and I could hear the sounds people make when they're smoking, and I could smell it. And I thought maybe they had gone into the disabled stall way back in the corner, because that's a big stall, and, girls usually hide in there to smoke their cigarettes. And I figured they were in there, so I opened the stall door, and they were over by the sinks. And I'd used the stall that was closest to the door, so I figured maybe I could run out the door. But one of them yelled at me. They called me a really rude name. And when I went to go out the door, one of them, the biggest girl of the group, she was a tall, big boned girl. She wasn't really fat, but she was kind of overweight. But she was very broad shouldered and just, like almost like a female bodybuilder, except she wasn't muscular really. But she just seemed like she was very powerful and strong. And she rushed over and she leaned on the bathroom door. And she put her hands on the bathroom door. And, at first I didn't look at them. I just said, I'm not going to tell anybody you're in here smoking. Please just let me go. Okay? I just want to leave, please. It was very nice, very polite, even though I was scared to death. And you could hear it in my voice. And the girl that was leaning on the door said, why should I? And I kind of went, and she wrapped her fingers on the door like this. And I remember the sound, I remember that sound on the door. She had really long nails, and they were painted kind of a dark red, brownish color. And she had her cigarette in the hand that she was drumming on the door with. It was kind of poking out like this between her fingers. So, you know, she could do it, and I could see the cigarette moving in the corner of my eye. I could see the smoke curling up. And she reached up with her other hand, she took the cigarette out of her hand, and she went, and she blew smoke in my face. And I was coughing, and while I was coughing and choking on it, she was just looking at me like, you know, she was just looking at me like I didn't exist. And our other 3 friends came over. You know, they had cigarettes and they were giggling and they started talking. You know, they started saying, "Hey, you got any tampons?" And I just went, "Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap! Please, no, not again." And the middle girl, she was like, "No, not on mine." And the littlest girl, you know, by little I mean she was the smallest of the group, but she was still taller than me. The smallest girl, she was like, "Me either." And they looked to the biggest girl and she was like, "Nope." And I tried again. I'm like, "Please, I will not tell anybody you're smoking in here. Just let me leave, please. You know, I don't want to fight or anything." And the big girl, she was like, "Too bad, we do." And they shoved me against the door. And they were calling me a whole bunch of names and saying, you know, "Why should we let you leave this bathroom?" And finally I got mad. And I'm like, "You don't control me, you don't own me, let me go." Of course, there were cuss words in between that, but I'm not going to put those on my channel, at least coming from me. But I was like, you know, "You don't control me, you don't own me." And they're like, they looked at each other and they smiled and it was not nice. I don't know, I saw lots of teeth. One of them had braces. And just the way they smiled, it sent a chill down my back. And so the middle girl, she took a big puff out of her cigarette, like, and she blew it out like that. She was like, and she looked at me again, and then she came up to me with the cigarette and went, and it bounced off me like this. And when it hit the floor, I stepped on it immediately because I didn't want her to pick it up and burn me with it. Because that was what I was afraid she would do. And I was afraid the other girls might do it too, but they just kind of flicked their cigarettes away onto the floor and just let them burn. You know, it was a tile floor, so it wouldn't hurt anything, but they just flicked their cigarettes aside. And they blew smoke on me. So, I just had a... Do you see that? That was a psychosomatic response. I smelled it in my mind and it made me cough. And they started to say something like, "Well, we need to teach you a lesson because apparently you're not learning." Something like that. Something weird to that effect, and I didn't know what they meant at first. And the next thing I know, they've got me by my shirt. And they're pulling it like this, and another one grabbed my backpack. I felt her hand slam down on it, and she grabbed the top of the backpack. And the other one had me by the arm, and they dragged me into the bathroom stall that I'd come out of. And they pushed me down on my knees, and they started telling me more nasty, horrible things. I'm just checking the time. They told me I was a walking disease. They told me that nobody liked me and nobody wanted me around. They told me that I deserved everything I got. They told me that I didn't deserve to exist, that I didn't deserve to live, and that I was a piece of crap. Except they didn't use crap, they used the S word. And they said, "Now I'm going to put you where the crap belongs." And they shoved my face into the toilet. They dunked my entire face into the water, and they held it, and then they pulled me up. I had my hair in a ponytail that day, and I don't remember which one had my ponytail, but one of them did, and she pulled me up and she forced my head back like this, and she got right in my ear. Her mouth was right here, and she was screaming, drink it, you bleep." the B word. And then she shoved me down again, and one of them took my ponytail and put it in the water so that all of my hair was completely soaked in this nasty toilet water. Even though I'd flushed, you know, I just know poop and pee goes in toilets, and people puke in toilets, and blood goes in toilets, and toilets are dirty. Toilets are inherently dirty to me. So, and they would push me down so fast that water would go in my mouth, and it would go in so forcefully that I would swallow it by reflex because I had no choice. I had no choice to spit it out, because if I spat, I would breathe. So, and they would shove me under the water. They'd shove my head under the water, and they'd flush, so the water would just be violently forced up my nose and in my mouth. And they would let me up, and they would say more nasty things to me. And then finally they pushed my head down, and they had me by my backpack and stuff, so I was trying to get up. You know, I was pushing on the seat and I couldn't get up. You know, I was hurting my shoulders just trying to get up. So the biggest girl, she took my backpack and she shoved me as far as she could into the toilet, like my face was almost in the drain. And she sat on the toilet seat, so I couldn't get up. I had no way to get my face out of the water and breathe. But I could turn my head and get my ear out of the water, because I was turning my head trying to maybe lift it up like this so that maybe I could get my nose out of the water and take a breath, but I couldn't. There was no way to get my face out of the water. I was trying to lift my head like this, and there was no way, because the position she had me in, I was like, here's the water, my head was at an angle like this. The top of my head was downward, and I could see the drain in my peripheral vision. That's why my face was almost in it. And, you know, I was shutting my eyes because I didn't want it in my eyes. But, I was kicking my feet and slapping the walls and slapping the toilet and just slapping and making noise and fighting, trying to make enough noise to be heard. And when I could get my ears out of the water, I could hear them laughing, and I could hear what they were saying. They were saying, "Oh my God, look at her, look at her, look at how pathetic she is, look at this, oh my God, look at this, ah ha ha, ah ha." If that had happened today instead of in 1996, they probably would have recorded on their phones and posted it online on the internet to further ridicule me. But finally one of them grabbed my feet, so I couldn't keep kicking, and I was starting to see spots. I was starting to just fade out of consciousness because I couldn't get any air, and I was starting to blow bubbles because I was like, my body was trying to breathe. It was trying to force me to breathe, and I was thinking, well, I guess I'm gonna die exactly where I deserve to be. But a teacher heard them laughing, because those loud shrieking laughs they had. The teacher heard them, and she came into the bathroom to see what was going on. And suddenly the girl that was sitting on me got up, and it went from shrieking laughter to, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh my gosh." And the teacher, it was a Spanish teacher. I recognized her by her accent, but I don't remember her name. If I saw her in the yearbook, I'd probably be able to point her out. But, they told her that I threw up, and they were trying to help me to make sure I was okay. And, and I was legitimately throwing up, because when the one girl got off me, I just lifted myself up out of the toilet, and I just gasped for air, and then I just puked. I mean, it was a violent puking. It came out of my nose and my mouth. It was so violent because I'd swallowed all this toilet water, and I was seriously, I just gagged. Seriously grossed out. Sorry. I'm not gonna throw up. I'm just psychosomatic response. but I did throw up a lot. I threw up what I ate at nutrition. You know, I'm not going to detail what it looked like, but I could see what I'd eaten, basically. And I flushed the toilet and I came out, and I made up some excuse that I threw up on some of my hair, and so I tried to clean it out to explain my hair being wet, because I was afraid that if I told on these girls they would do something worse. So I had this teacher take me to the office, and I was able to call my mom and tell my mom I was throwing up and I probably had food poisoning and I need to come home. And, you know, that time I was able to be excused for being absent instead of considered truant for, you know, leaving for a non-sickness related thing that wasn't a doctor or religious or whatever. And so my mom came and picked me up from school. You know, and she was asking me if I was okay, and I'm like, yeah, I think I just ate something bad and I just need to be home because I'm throwing up and I don't feel good. And so my mom took me home.